provided the music to the movie Saw. The bandsaw is used mostly for cutting curved lines. We're also going to use it for cutting pieces of wood less than 12 inches long, and you got to be careful because it is the most accident-prone piece of equipment in the shop. A lot of people think that it's just a lot safer than what it is, and that's just not the fact at all. Most of the major injuries we've ever had has occurred on this saw. Parts of the bandsaw are simple. We have the guard, the blade, the fence, and the on and off switch. Now, it's important to note that students can never change the blade. They never open the doors at all. And the bandsaw does not have to be used with the fence. The bandsaw rules are simple. The guard can be no higher than 1/4 inch above the wood. The wood must be in contact with the table at all times. You can't just float the wood in there and slice it. You can't cut any tight curves, or if you do cut a tight curve, you have to use what are called relief cuts. And if the blade is broken or dull, you can tell that because you'll have to push too hard, or it's making noise, or it's smoking. You don't use that. And it's important to note that the instructor, me, changes the blades. Now let's check out the bandsaw in action.
So we want to get those guides down as close to the wood as we can in order to keep that blade tracking straight and accurately. While the bandsaw is capable of a remarkable number of kinds of cuts, one of its greatest strengths is the ability to cut curves accurately. I've drawn a line here to show how cleanly the bandsaw can follow it.
Now this guy in the demonstration film has his guard set a little bit too high.
As we push
his guard is set about 1 inch above the wood. You got to make sure your guard is set considerably lower, 1/4 of an inch above the wood. Right now, the way that he's cutting, he could easily accidentally cut his finger because of where his guard is located.
The bandsaw is also great for making freehand curves with no planning. Again, we need to be aware that the blade isn't twisting and that no sparks are happening from the guides above.
Notice the way that he's keeping his hands away from the front of the blade where it's doing the cutting.
We should be able
This
to
is really important,
circle
and it's the most safe way to operate the
this
tool.
blade. The thinner the blade, the tighter the curve. Very nice. In order to make deep curved cuts into a piece of wood, we're going to have to make some relief cuts. These long, thin cuts into the piece of wood allow the curved sections to pop loose without twisting the blade. Watch what happens after we make these cuts and then try to turn these corners.
The relief cuts, like what he's doing, this is the only time you would ever back a bandsaw blade out of a cut. See, he goes in, and he pulls straight back out, no twisting or anything. If you pull back on any cut beside a relief cut, the blade can actually come off the tires and cut you, which you don't want to have happen.
See that piece come loose? As we work our way around, each of those sections will pop out, giving a clean curve.
Okay, so that's a basic overview of the bandsaw. You're going to be taking a test on this piece of equipment. You have to pass the test with a 95% an A. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you with the bandsaw.